I love that song. I love that woman. And in religious science, we may feel that way, that we've lost the right to sing the blues. But sometimes things happen and we just feel like singing, right? I had that opportunity this weekend. Over the past couple of weeks, I have noticed that the airflow in my car has been reduced out of a couple of vents. And in Arizona, that can be a problem, right? So I went online. Hello, Google. What could the problem be? And they said it was something with the computer, and to go to AutoZone right over here, right? Go to AutoZone. They have a scanner. They can scan it and tell you what's going on. It's great. I'm going to AutoZone. So I go to AutoZone. He plugs it in. We wait. We go back in. Nothing. Nothing's wrong. And I'm like, well, obviously something's wrong. I'm not getting any air out of these vents. Go, oh, you have to talk to your mechanic. So I go to the mechanic on Friday and I said, hey, here's the deal. He says, let us do some analysis and some investigating. Okay. Can you leave it? Sure. So I left it. They called me later and said, well, we are up to $283 already, and we need to pull off a couple of panels of your dashboard because we think we know what it is, but we can't get to it. Okay. If we have to do more diagnostics, I'll call you. Okay. So he calls me back in a little bit and he says, all right, the good news is we figured out what it is. It's this little motor that's behind whatever controls the vents. Yeah, that thing. And servo. It's the servo. Who knew I had a servo? I wouldn't go there. But anyway, so he goes, yeah, we found it. The problem is the only way to get to it is to take off your dash. Take off your dash. Now think about the computerization of your car and everything that's in the dash. They have to take it off. Well, $1,200 later, I have airflow in my car. Now, was I happy about that expense? No. Was I frustrated? Yes. Was I singing the blues? A little bit. Oh my gosh. But I was able to turn that around to gratitude for the fact that I had saved the money, that I had it, that I could pay for that repair. But it felt like it was 2 steps forward in saving money and 1 step back and handing it to the mechanic. So that's what we're going to talk about today. That's my talk title, is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And we're looking at the book that Diane was telling us about, Abundance, The Inner Path to Wealth, written by Deepak Chopra. And in it, he talks about the creative process, not only in us, but in the universe, that has gone on forever. And that there is an entropy pulling against evolution. And that there's this push and pull relationship pulling in opposite directions all the time, from evolution and creation and entropy and destruction. Anybody familiar with Hinduism at all? The god Kali, right? Kali destroys the universe just to recreate it, just to destroy it again. That's what she does. And that's sort of what he's talking about. He tells us that the flow of creative intelligence constantly drives evolution. Spirit, as creative intelligence, constantly urges us forward. We all have this urge or desire to grow, to expand, to do more. It's part of the inherent creative process within us. Spirit in us doesn't do physical things. We do that, which is why we have that drive to continue creation in the physical form. Entropy in humans is things like our unconscious behaviors, our habits, conditioning, apathy, and closed-mindedness. Those are the things that don't move us forward, but can cause destruction in our life, unchecked. To explain this further, Deepak uses a bell curve. Anybody familiar with the bell curve? Looks like that, right? Entropy's on this side, creative intelligence, evolution's on that side. And he says most of us live in the middle. Most of us live our lives in the middle of that bell curve. And that's where the idea of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that dance happens. Because we're constantly trying to expand and then getting pulled back. Constantly expand and getting pulled back. Our unconscious impulses lead to entropy, wasted time, wasted emotions, wasted money, negative emotional investment. But the beauty? We have choice, don't we? We have the power of choice when we consciously use it. When we consciously use it. In the book, Deepak suggests 7 things we do to get money wrong. 7 things we do to get money wrong. Choices we make that push us towards entropy and destruction rather than creation and prosperity. So let's run through those real quick. Number 1, fantasizing about money. Burning energy and wasting time fantasizing about money instead of doing something about it, right? The second is thinking that money is the end rather than the means. Third, harboring a fear of poverty. I used to have a fear of becoming a bag lady. It was a genuine fear. And I've done a lot of work around that over the years, and I realized preparing this talk and reading that, it's like, I don't have that anymore. Thank goodness. I don't have that anymore. But as long as that fear is active within us, we create the possibility for it, don't we? So he's saying harboring that fear of poverty means it's still active within us as a possibility. Number 4, cheating, being dishonest, or lying to others. They heard of karma, law of cause and effect. We're automatically setting ourselves up to receive that. Number 5, betraying our core beliefs. Number 6, abusing other people. Number 7, having a killer instinct, which means being over-competitive, right? Being over-competitive. So those are the ways that we can get it wrong. Those are the ways that we cause our entropy in our lives. Those are the ways that we sabotage our own success. Now, he also says there's 7 ways that we do it right. Choices we can make that push us towards creation and prosperity that help us expand our wealth consciousness, which is what we're talking about all month, right? So number 1 is self-sufficiency. True self-sufficiency means we're following our core values, that we're not giving in to other people's opinions. Self-sufficiency, Emerson's quote, self-reliance, right? We're not imitating someone else, we're being ourselves. We know without a doubt that we're enough, more than enough. Number 2, taking responsibility. Learning to step out of the habit of blaming others, situations, things outside of ourselves for our conditions. That's a habit, isn't it? Blaming others for our situation is a habit. Next time something happens, check in with yourself. Am I blaming them? Is my instant go-to response to blame whatever's happening outside of me for what is going on inside of me? Number 3 is cooperation. When we take on the perspective of win-win, working together rather than in opposition to each other, we begin to see life as God sees life. Because remember, God and the law play no favorites. They love all alike. The law works alike for everyone. Gravity doesn't treat one of us different from the other. Number 4, our work ethic. And this is not about just showing up. It's about giving our all. In Buddhism, it talks about right work. Right work. Hard work is rarely right work if it involves struggle and postponing happiness. How many go to work every day because they have to go to work? And they complain about going, they complain about being there, they complain about having been there, and they're just miserable, but they're waiting for that day when they can retire or whatever's going to happen. He's saying to us that our work ethic is what's happening in our mind, creating happiness and joy and fulfillment right now in this moment. We can't expect to be complaining about what is right now and creating a brilliant future from that, can we? We have to find our happiness in this now moment in order to sustain and grow that into the future. Number 5, being true to yourself. When we are blissful, we know that we are true to our core values. And then being faithful to your core values, do you know what they are? What are your core values? Deepak suggests love, compassion, truth, loyalty, self-esteem, humility, and personal growth. But frankly, these don't mean anything unless they're our core values, do they? So check in. Spend some time reflecting on what are my core values? Who am I what is valuable to me, and how do I live from that? And the 7th is focus on awareness. We can't change anything unless we're aware of it. If I walk out of the bathroom and I've got paper on my shoe and I'm walking down the street and I'm unaware of it, I can't change it, can I? But if somebody points out and goes, Reverend Jill, you've got toilet paper on your shoe, pick it up, throw it away, I can change it because I'm aware of it, right? If I'm not aware of it, I'm going to walk around with it all day. All right. So that's focus on awareness. We can't change anything unless we're aware of it. So how do we incorporate these things into our lives? How do we incorporate them? We have to change our thoughts, our habits, and our actions, right? It's like we change anything. We change how we think about it. We change the habits and we change the actions. And remember, we operate on autopilot about 50% of the time. That's what keeps us stuck in that bell curve, right? Because we're all working on the same autopilot most of the time. So we have to be aware, we have to become conscious of what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're thinking, in order to make changes in that. One of the ways that we can move ourselves towards creation and prosperity, the other end of that spectrum, is by choosing to challenge long-held beliefs that we have about money, circulation, and generosity. One of the last places, you've heard me say before, one of the last places that spiritual seekers choose to heal is around their money. Money's too personal. Money's unchangeable. Money's unapproachable. I don't want to deal with it. I certainly don't want to talk about it. And it's not very spiritual in the first place, right? Anybody? So that's where we want to shy away from. Yeah, I'll work on calling in a relationship. Yeah, I'll work on my health. Yeah, I'll work on a career. Yeah, I'll work on being kind. Money? Mm-mm. So let's talk about money a little bit this morning. Choosing to step into transforming your relationship with money is one of the most powerful, one of the fastest ways to transform and expand your consciousness, because it's one of the sacred cows that we have about working on. We may have a belief that it's not changeable, that it is, what I have is what I have, and I'm not going to have any more. We may have a belief that it's good enough. I don't need to work on anything, it's good enough. Or we may be locked in fear that I can't change anyway. Why would I? I better keep what I've got. Like the lady in the story, I'll just hold on to this $12,000 because that's all I have in the world. I'm not going to put it to work. Remember the story of the 3 talents? The one who did not put it to work got the least. Many of us still hold beliefs around money that we grew up with. What our parents did, how they acted, what our friends did, what our original churches may have told us about money, all of that stuff. Maybe that was compounded by when we finally moved out of the house and we got our own place and we got to figure out how to pay rent and buy groceries and buy gas and still go have fun, for goodness sake, and buy new clothes. Remember those days? And we may have PTSD around that, right? We may be dealing with the shock and the fear and thinking that we can never escape that. We have beliefs around people who have money. We have beliefs around what's enough. We have beliefs around what's not enough. And all of those beliefs mix in with whatever's going on with your financial picture today. In reality, money is consciousness. Period. Money is consciousness. Those little green pieces of paper only have the value that we put on them. Some people look at a dollar bill and will just throw it in the trash. It has no value. And some people hold on to it like it is their last dollar. Or maybe it's $100 and they feel the same way. That's all the money in the world. It's our consciousness. It's our belief inside of our heads that dictates what that means to us, right? And the only way to have a different experience of money is to change those beliefs, change that consciousness of the way we've always done it. Otherwise, we stay under that bell curve. We're not moving and progressing forward. We may be taking one step forward and two steps back. We change our consciousness by changing our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. And there are practices that can help us with this. There's a lot of practices that can help us with this. In prosperity teaching, a lot of times we teach all the things to do in the outside. We teach the law of abundance. We teach calling it in. We teach vibration. We teach all that stuff. And it's all good tools. It all works. But we really need to get in here and change this. One of the practices that we can use to begin to make peace with our money is to notice this. Joe, do we have the next slide? The monies? The monies? Yeah. This is all the currency that circulates from our U.S. Treasury right now. And these are the back of the bills. Everyone's got different artwork on it. Kind of pretty. But every one of those says, I don't know if you can read it from your chair, in God we trust. Every one of those, every coin in your pocket says, in God we trust. My question is, do you? Do you trust that God is your source? Every time you handle one of these, every time you pick up a penny or a dime or a quarter, do you think God is my source? Do you trust that your paycheck, your retirement, your trust fund, whatever it is only one channel of the good that can come to you? That there are infinite ways that you're good, that your desires can come to you? Are you attached to that check, and whatever that check amount is my personal value? It's telling me how much I'm valued. These are the deep money beliefs that we hold on to that we may or may not even realize we're holding on to. Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind that we teach from, says the highest consciousness is not one of possession, but of being. The greater your consciousness of being, the more automatically will the law flow from this consciousness into the acquisition of the things you desire. Or as Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God and all will be added. All will be added when we seek first to be in alignment with Spirit as our source. The only way that manifestation happens is through our consciousness, from thought to form. I haven't talked about my music stand in a long time. This was an idea, right, before it was ever manufactured. Somebody sketched it. Somebody engineered it. Somebody figured out how to manufacture it, produce it, deliver it, right? Those were all ideas, thoughts, before they were ever in form, as is everything we see. So what kind of an obstacle course have you created in your mind that your good has to figure out how to come through to get to you? What sort of restrictions are there that are causing the drip, drip, drip of prosperity as opposed to the flow? What is the obstacle course? One of the ways that we can begin to clear that obstacle course a bit is to give like God gives, with no expectation and no condition. Where are we holding back? Where are we holding back in giving? Is it giving of our love? Is it giving of kindness? Is it giving of compassion? Where are we holding back? Giving our financial good, circulating that good out into the world. Where are we holding back? I've heard people say, I'm not going to give to those homeless people because they'll just spend it on drugs. What if God thought that way? I ain't giving them anything else. I don't like the way they're spending it. What if God thought that way? God gives without condition. Can we? Can we let go of our fear, our control, enough to give without expectation, without condition, freely? Sure, it's nice to get appreciation. It's nice to be acknowledged. But can you give without that requirement? Just for the sake and the joy of giving. As you know, we are a not-for-profit corporation at Scottsdale Center for Spiritual Living. We receive no funding from our home office. Each and every one of our centers across the nation, across the world, has its own mission, its own purpose for being, and its own balance sheet. And it is supported by the generosity of our donors. And I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one who has decided to be a steward, a financial steward of this community, and who gives on a regular basis as a prosperity steward, and comes in and receives a tithe ticket on Sundays as the reminder for them of what they've done in consciousness, what they're doing in consciousness. That's what this is for. This is not just some cute thing to pick up and throw in the basket. It's to remind us of what we're doing in consciousness by setting up that auto tithe each and every week or each and every month. This is the reminder of us, of our prosperity and consciousness and what we've committed to. We call this series The Inner Path to Wealth. We know, again, that everything is created first in thought and then in form. But it's easy to get impatient when our thoughts are changing, right? We're growing, we're expanding, but nothing's changing on the outside. It's like, wait a minute, this stuff doesn't work. But bear in mind, evolution is a process, isn't it? Evolution is a process. It's the time necessary for spirit to work. And so when we start doubting what's happening in here in our belief system and we're not seeing it fast enough in form, then we are sabotaging it. Excuse me. And then we're sabotaging it. So we have to stay with our focus. We have to stay on that to give the process time to begin to manifest on the outside for us. But one of the things we can do is we can take action in the exterior. Rather than just sitting and waiting for it, we can begin to take action. We can begin to give as God gives. We can begin to take that action in physical form of the thoughts that we have. So I'm going to invite you this week to step into the expansion of consciousness, into the expansion of prosperity, awareness, to give without expectation or condition. As I said, I know many of you are already tithers to this community. If you're not tithing 10%, I invite you to increase it a little bit more than's comfortable. Push your bell curve a little bit. Push your comfort zone a little bit and watch what happens. I don't know why. I cannot explain to you how or why it works the way it does. All I know is that when I do that in my life, I'm never short. It's counterintuitive. I'm paying out more, I'm giving more, but I seem to always have enough still. How does that work? Does anybody else have that experience? I don't know how it works. Try it. Try it in your life. Push the edge of your own comfort zone. When we make a decision to break through our money fears, and it is a decision, isn't it? It's something we have to do. We choose, I'm going to do this. I'm going to break through my money fears. I'm going to give more. I'm going to give more. I know it sounds counterintuitive. I've already talked about that. Breaking through the boundaries of our money consciousness, though, frees us to live more abundantly. Because all the stuff we worry about is holding us back. It's taking up space and time in our heads, worrying about all that stuff. When we can let all that go and we can just live as a generous being, our life begins to be filled more with gratitude. Just like turning that around on Friday from angst and frustration over paying for car repairs, little bitty motor in the back of my dashboard, right? Bad engineering. But there it is. I was grateful I had the money to do it. It allows us to begin to live at peace, harmony, and joy in our financial well-being. So your spiritual practice this week is to give away some money. How's that feel? Give away some money. I don't know if I've shared with you recently the impetus of this. This is our Money Finders Prosperity Program. These green envelopes were created by our founding board secretary. And she decided that give away some money. That's what she decided. Give away some money. That's what she decided. And she began to collect all the coins. You know, the coins, you get change and it goes in a pocket or whatever. She would collect all of that into a baggie. And every place she went, she would drop coins. She went to the grocery, she'd drop them either in the side of the grocery store on the floor or outside in the parking lot. She went to Starbucks, she'd sprinkle it on the tables. She never looked back. She just kept going. She was like Johnny Appleseed of coins. Because she knew that she was planting seeds of abundance. She knew she was prosperous. What do you do when you find coins? Do you stop and pick it up? In God we trust? Or are you embarrassed and just kind of step over it? Think about that circulation that's coming to you as a reminder to you of your abundance when you see it. But this week, you get to be the giver. Give away some money. I don't care if it's a penny or $1,000. Give away some money. Sprinkle it everywhere. I'm going to invite you to consider this center for your generosity. We are an open channel through which prosperity flows, and it allows us to continue our mission out in the world. If you believe in this teaching like I do, that it is transformative, it is healing, and that we can change the world, then I invite you to give here. If you choose to give someplace else, give consciously. Give consciously. Enjoy. Give as God gives. Give to a place whose mission you support, whose vision you align with, whose work you support. Circulate your money into the world and expand your consciousness, knowing that it does come back. It does come back. Before we turn it over for Q&A this morning, I would like to have your indulgence for a little process. You want to do a prosperity process with me? All right, good. Okay, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is get comfortable in your chairs and form on your lap a little basket of your hands. Just comfortable, just let your hands be relaxed and a little basket form in your hands. All right, now I invite you to take a breath. Close your eyes. I got to close your eyes. And take a breath. And allow your body to relax and be calm. And just focus on your breath. Just focus on your breath. Gently breathing in. Hold it just a second. Breathe out. Let it be still. And do that again. And just keep doing that. As you feel yourself in that gentle rhythm, imagine that your hands are poised to receive. Open your mind to the possibility of receiving. You don't have to know what or where. Just believe and receive. Now imagine a gentle flow of water running over your palms, an endless source, just flowing gently over your palms. It's the perfect temperature. It's continuously flowing over your hands. You don't have to grasp it or control it. Just be in the flow of your good. Imagine this is the substance of spirit, unending, until you decide to stop it. Infinite flow. Just allow it to keep flowing, taking what you need and allowing the rest to flow over and off of your hands. No fear of loss. Knowing there's always more. It's a constant, unending stream. Continue to breathe. Continue to see yourself receiving, breathing in, breathing out. The flow only stops if you stop it. Taking a final breath, gently let that go. Open your eyes and notice what you've received. Notice the words on the back. In God we trust. Do you trust that God is your source? You can use this practice as a reminder. Anytime you're feeling a little unsure, just step into the flow and know that it's always there for you. So it is.
It's going to be a 90-second at Starbucks next week.
And now I'll open it up to questions and answers, perhaps, if you've got any questions this morning or comments or thoughts you'd like to share. I would like to say thank you to our abundance angel this morning.
Thank you, Reverend Jill. I gotta say, I've I've heard and been in multiple prosperity classes and teachings and what have you, and this really did open my eyes. Something really resonated with me, so thank you. That was awesome, really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I saw you light up back there, so that was fun. Anyone else? Comment, question, complaint? Diane?
Like Valerie, I've taken a lot of prosperity classes and things here, and I always think I'm over it. But every now and then I hear my dad saying, money doesn't grow on trees. So I guess we're not always completely, we have to work on it. And so I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, those things typically come up when something rattles us, right? When we get bad economic news or something happens in the flow and, oh, it was true what they said. And that stuff will come up. And that's when we use our practices to heal that one more time, right? Heal that and let it go one more time. Anyone else? Colette.
This is just an observation from the sheets that you had up there about Deepak, and the first one said fantasize about money, and it's a no-no. And yet I disagree with that, because how else are you going to manifest if you're not dreaming of these things?
Mm-hmm.
So I disagree with that.
Excellent. Good. Yeah, I'll send him a note. Colette would like to talk to you about this.
I remember Sarah Mary Morrissey had us visualize things we wanted to do,
Mhm.
writing checks to
Mhm.
pay off their things. So I have to figure that Deepak may have a little different twist on that, and it's probably the same thing somehow, because we all know that we have to picture it before it happens.
Yeah. Well, and I think fantasizing is when we are looking beyond what we believe is possible. Visualizing is believing what is possible. So if I'm going to fantasize about being a billionaire tomorrow, that's a fantasy, right? For me, anyway, that's a fantasy. I could visualize having 50,000 or 100,000 or $250,000 by the end of the year. I could visualize that. I could get myself to expect that. But to fantasize about $1 billion by the end of the year, that's pretty soon now, isn't it? To me, that would be fantasy. So I don't know if that was the difference that he was thinking, but the idea of fantasy and, as Holmes said, wistful wishing, as opposed to prayer treatment and knowing, I think that's probably the distinction that he was making that I didn't make very well on the slide. So thank you for that. Anybody else? All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate your comments. And let's pray. So, how good it is that we can join together in this community and talk about wonderful things, including prosperity, recognizing that God is our source, the source of all that is. One power, one presence, one infinite life. It is harmony and peace, joy, love, health and healing. It is all that is. And I know that I'm a manifestation of it, created of that one substance, that one source of all, and that I am uniquely made manifest in this time-space reality right here, right now. Not before, not after, but right now. And I know that for each and every one of us gathered here today, in this room, online, or listening later, knowing that we have come together by divine appointment, that there are no mistakes. We're in this room for a reason today. We're hearing this message for a reason today, for the possibility of transforming our prosperity consciousness, expanding our awareness, stepping further away from the center of the bell curve into creative expression of the life we desire. And so in this moment, I speak my word for and about each and every one here today, knowing that each of us is abundantly blessed, knowing that we each have the tools and skills necessary to receive all that is implanted in our hearts that we desire. And that Spirit moves through us, as us, bringing each and every one of those desires into manifestation, whether that be for peace and harmony, joy, health, healing, love, or more prosperous and abundant living. We know it's all possible as we believe. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart this day that they seek prayer around, as they lift it into this consciousness of this prayer this morning, that we as a community hold them in our light and our love, knowing that whatever needs to be healed is healed, whatever needs to be clarified is, whatever needs to be brought forward, whatever it is made manifest now, with all necessary for its full expression. And so it is with a heart filled with gratitude, joy, and thanksgiving that I release this into the action and activity of the law, knowing that it is already done. It is so. And we affirm this truth together by saying, and so it is.